Good afternoon. Right, I've got another auction video for you. There seems to be a massive glut of auctions so far in January and February 2025, and the Manor Park auction, crikey, wait until you see some of the prices. So I'll get my face out of the way, I'll show you the cars, and I'll talk you through the sale. And then I think after this video, what I'll do is I'll summarise all the auctions we've had so far in no I won't, I'll wait until the race retro sale is over, which comes this weekend. I've already done a video on that one, and once we know the results from that, we'll summarise where the market's at. So without further ado, let's look at the results from the Manor Park classic car auction just the other day. We've got 100 cars. I'm not going to do the motorbikes, but I'll whip through the 100 cars. Some of these results are quite frankly ridiculous. The enthusiast side of the classic car market is healthy, and I think that's good news. Wait till you see some of these prices. So let's go straight in at the top with the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter race van, estimate 25 to 27, and it goes unsold actually. Then we've got a trailer, £2,300, and a Mercedes. All of these are no reserve. The Mercedes went in no reserve, CLK 280 AMG Sport, nice looking car, but I think you have problems with road tax. Being a 280 and being 2008, goes for just £2,242. Now we've got the Triumph TR6. Estimate on this was £7,000 to £8,000, and it smashes it, £9,430, bucking everything that I've been saying about classic British cars. Then you've got the Mini Equinox Special Edition, estimate 4.5 to 5.5, goes for £5,980. The Mini market is really strong at the moment. The 2006 MG TF, this is lot number 208, goes in at no reserve and does £2,875 with 76,000 miles on it. That's pretty strong money, to be fair, for an MGTF. The Porsche Boxster 3.2S, only 32,000 miles from new, one owner. Estimate on that was 7.5 to 8.5, and it goes for £8,855. Pretty strong sale on the Boxster. Another Mini here, lot number 210, goes in with no reserve, and it does £12,420. I think that's pretty cheap for a 1965 Mini Cooper S. Maybe that should have done a little bit more money, but if you know your Minis, tell me in the comments. Another interesting one here, Bentley Continental GT. We've seen these going through auctions, fairly cheap. Estimate 14 to 16, sells for 16,388 quid. So pretty strong on the Bentley as well. And then this one I think is quite hilarious. This is a BMW 316. It's a 2002. It's an E46. It's only done 20,000 miles, but it's only a BMW 316. It's nothing special. They estimate it at 5.5 to 6, and it basically goes for £7,000. But in the context of everything that I've been saying about cars, if you want to buy a good, reliable car that's going to last you, you're probably better off buying a 2002 low-mileage BMW E46 than you are anything brand new off the forecourt. I mean, you've just saved yourself £7,000 against the price of a basic Dacia Sandero, and you'll have a better car. So there you go. The Fiat 500L, lot number 213, estimate 6.5 to 7.5, and it does 6.9, so well within its estimate range. The Mercedes here, this one's a 320, only 40,000 miles, and it goes for £6,268. Now, this was a no reserve car, but being a 2003, it's in a more sensible tax bracket, so maybe that is part of the reason why it did better than the last one. The Lotus Europa here, estimated at 20 to 24,000 pounds. Lovely looking car, subject to a comprehensive wheeler dealer's restoration. So there you go. You could buy a car that perhaps Mike Brewer might have sat in the passenger seat of, and someone held out their hand for £25,300 on that, going above estimate. Then you've got a 1969 Jaguar E-Type that was estimated at 18 to 22, and it goes for 38. Somebody please make it make sense. What was everybody smoking at this auction? They must have all been drunk or something. Then you've got a Lotus Esprit, estimate 19 to 21, and it goes for pretty much 27. I mean, to be fair, the S4 Turbo is a superb looking Lotus. If you're in the market for a Lotus Esprit, actually, a friend of mine, in fact, you may have seen it on the channel. My friend Ian, who is the Australian diving expert, is selling the Lotus that we filmed in on that day. So if you would like to buy a Lotus Esprit, it's a black one, then do get in touch and I can sort you out with a price. Right, then we've got a Mini Cooper S Cabriolet. I really like these. I know some people don't, but £4,830. It's an automatic though, so it's a rare automatic. I don't know whether that makes it more desirable, but yeah, strong money on that as well. Then the Stag, £12,000 to £14,000 estimated here, £13,570. I think the Grand Tour, where James May bought himself a Stag, has helped Stag prices. Then we've got another one here that absolutely smashes its estimate. This is a Porsche 911 Targa Super Sport, and even the auctioneer writes, not much else we can say, estimated at 60 to 65, and it goes for 73. So strong money on that one. Then we've got a Land Rover, and we know that these Land Rovers have been doing fairly well. This one actually goes fairly low against an estimate of 30 to 32. It goes for 27.6. Jaguar XK 8.4 litre, another Jaguar XK. How many of these Jaguar XKs have you seen me talk about in these videos? This one goes in at no reserve and goes for £3,450. And then we've got another Mini. This one's estimated at 13 to 15, but it doesn't find a buyer. That's a nice looking little minivan, goes unsold. The Arnage T, very smart example, estimated at 13 to 15, and it goes just beneath that at 14,950. So good estimating there from the auction house. And here we go. This is an interesting one. This is a Fiat 500 electric conversion. Don't forget, we've got an electrically converted Mini coming up in the race retro sale at the weekend that I've already put in my video. This one was estimated at 25 to 27, but no one in the room goes for it at that money. It remains unsold. Then you've got another no reserve car, another Mercedes-Benz SLK, this time at 280 as a plane goes over my head. 3,565 quid on that one. But the one we all wanted to know about was this Ferrari, actually. It was estimated at 65 to 75, and it goes just above its upper estimate. Beautiful 355 Spider. I love this car because of the film GoldenEye. Obviously, you probably do as well. We definitely don't fancy, what was the lady name? Xenia ONNATOP from GoldenEye. Yeah, definitely don't fancy her at all or want her car. £75,900, so people clearly do want that car. Then you've got a Peugeot 205 GTI, estimate was 10 to 12, and it goes for 13.2, so strong money on that one. The Mitsubishi Lancer, estimate 40 to 45, doesn't quite hit its lower estimate. It sold for 37.9, so still some time for those Lancers to come up in the classic car world. The Alfa Romeo GTV 2-litre twin spark, which looks lovely, goes in at no reserve, £2,300. Someone's got himself a nice car for that money. And we've got another old commercial vehicle doing really well, just like what we saw in the Mathewson's auction. This is a 1952 Austin A40 pickup truck. Estimate is 10 to 12, and it goes for 17. So really strong market on these older commercial vehicles. The Land Rover 80 though, the 1950 Land Rover 80, estimate 13 to 15, doesn't find a buyer. Then you've got an MGB GT. The estimate was 5 to 6, and it makes 5.1. 2005 Mercedes-Benz CLS 350. Tricky car, that one, because I think I'd want a V8 engine if I was having a CLS, or I'd want the diesel. So it only goes for 2,400 quid, 97,000 miles. Probably a sensible car for someone, but as I said, I'd have to have either the diesel or the V8. Jaguar E-Type here goes for bang on its upper estimate. Estimate was 45 to 50, and it goes for 50. Then you've got an Austin 12/4 Ascot, estimate 7.5 to 8.5, and it goes for 8.3. So pretty accurate estimating by the auction house there. The 1978 Austin Mini 1275 was estimated at 10 to 12, and it only goes for 9.7. So just about missing the mark on its reserve there. And then a no reserve Golf V5. Mark IV Golf is all the car you will ever need. I'm telling you now, you should buy a Mark IV Golf. £3,100 on that one. Another Bentley here, Bentley Arnage T Mulliner. We're seeing a lot of these shaped Bentleys coming through auctions at the moment. I don't know whether that's a sign that all the old people are selling up because they've been using them to run to the golf course and now they're giving up driving. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Estimate 20 to 24, and it doesn't sell. Another Austin 7 Mini here, estimate 11 to 14, and it goes for 12,650. 1952 Fiat 1900A, gorgeous little car actually, the only right-hand drive one in existence. Estimate is 7 to 9, and and it goes for 8. So bang on by the auction house there. 1962 Ford Zodiac. I really like the look of this car, actually. Goes in no reserve, and it finishes at 5,750 quid. Nice, cheap way to get into some classic MOT exempt motoring. Then you've got an MGB GT, estimate 5 to 6, goes for 5,750. 1967 Daimler V8 250, estimate 6 to 7, sells for 7,130. I remember being at a Brightwell's auction years ago, back when I was driving an MGF, and one of these Daimler 250 V8s went through the auction at about £2,000. That's because nothing ever seems to sell for strong money down at Brightwell's. I'll do a video on their next auction in the coming days, actually, because they've got another one coming up. 1976 Jaguar XJ 4.2 litre. People are looking at these Jaguars since the woke rebrand of Jaguar has backfired so badly, and they've got so much egg on their face that people are looking at their back catalogue and going, wow, Jaguar made some great cars. And this is one of them, estimated at 15 to 17, and it does 16,675, so just below the lower estimate. Honda Civic CRX, that's a Del Sol. You can remove the roof panels. I once had a friend when I was working in Cornwall that had one of these, and she'd pick me up to drive us to work, and every day I'd insist that we have the roof panels removed. 21 inches in the service book, no reserve, 2,400 quid. Cheap car, that. 1979 Cavalier GL, estimate 5 to 6, goes for 5. All of these Cavaliers seem to be worth £5,000. Whenever I see one, they seem to sell for 5,000 quid. They don't seem to be able to break out of that sort of £5,000 bracket. Then you've got another Jaguar XK here, this time a 4.2, estimate 6.5 to 7.5, and it goes for 8,1. People clearly like that car. Then you've got a SLK 350, again, kind of all the car you'd ever need, estimate 5 to 6, and it goes for 5,1. A no reserve Rover P6 does £6,210. That's a lot of money, but people really like barn finds, and I've no idea why. All a barn find means is you're going to need to do loads of work to it. A lot more work than if you'd bought a car that was running and driving, but people like the mythology of the barn find thing. Then you've got a Land Rover Wolf 90. People like the ex-military Land Rovers, so it goes for 15,755 against an estimate of 13 to 15. And then a beautiful Mercedes S500. If you're having a W140 S-Class, you have to have the S500, and it goes for 8.6 against an estimate of 6 to 8. Nice car, that, actually. Next up, we've got this beautiful Porsche 914, ex-California, Porsche's first mid-engine road car. These are great-looking little cars. Estimate 8.5 to 9.5, and it goes for 10. The Sierra XR4i, needing some light recommissioning, goes for £4,830. And then you've got a Austin Maxi, 5,000 to 600, goes for £5,750. Please, somebody make it make sense. A Ford Sierra XR4 goes for less money than an Austin Maxi. Then you've got a Rover Mini 40. Now, this is an interesting one because it went in with an estimate of 18 to 20. It's a late model car. It is lovely, though, and it smashes its estimate by £3,000 and sells for 23 grand. Then you've got the Toyota Hilux as well, which was estimated at 11 to 13, and that goes for £12,535. Only 72,000 miles on that car, and that's probably about the same amount of money that was paid for it in 1996. So a lesson there in how to buy a car that doesn't depreciate. Get yourself an early Hilux. Citroen BX19 GTI. This one went in no reserve. These GTI Citroens have been doing really well. £6,900 on that one. And then the Jaguar Mark IV, an imposing looking and unspoiled Jaguar saloon. Estimate 10 to 12, but it only makes 9,200 quid. I think people want the slightly later Jaguars than that one. Then we've got this one that I absolutely don't understand. If you're a Land Rover person, please explain this to me in the comments. Why is a year 2000 Land Rover Discovery V8 worth £17,800? I know it's only done 23,000 miles, but come on, please somebody explain that to me. I don't get it. 1990 Ford Fiesta XR2, estimate 6 to 7, and it goes for 6.6. Probably would have made money if someone had put the normal wheels back on. And then you've got a no reserve 2 former keeper XR3i Cabriolet making £6,300. That's really strong money, as is the Mercedes. Look at this. The Mercedes goes in with an estimate of 5 to 7 and goes for 7,245. That's a very nice Japanese import 80,000 mile car. Again, that car will last forever. Just look after it. And the Saab does really well. £8,625 with 93,000 miles on the clock. I'm surprised. That is strong money for a Saab. Then you've got the Impreza as well. The Impreza goes in with an estimate of 10 to 12 and does 15.2. That's an RB5, very cool car, and I would have thought You know, I'm not here to offer financial advice, but I'd imagine your money be fairly safe in an RB5 Subaru Impreza. The no reserve Rover with 42,000 miles makes £1,700, sensible car. And then you've got another Impreza here, 9,200 quid, but it's the slightly newer one anyway, and they're a bit trickier. The Land Rover Defender 90, galvanised chassis, lots of upgrades, estimate 9 to 11, it goes for 11,700, so that does pretty well. And then the no reserve restoration Mini makes 3,680 quid. We've then got a Japanese import Jaguar XFR, very cool car, 5 litre V8, estimate 6.5 to 7.5, does 11,800. So great result on that car. The Fiat 500 Abarth as well does okay, 7 to 9 on the estimate, and it goes for 8. The Porsche 912, I thought this would have made a little bit more, to be fair. Estimate was 40 to 45, and it does 42. The Land Cruiser Colorado goes in no reserve and makes 5,000 quid. I love these Land Cruisers, but I just can't justify spending that amount of money on them. Now, here we have a standard Volkswagen Type 2 delivery van. Now, we've seen some Volkswagens not do so well in other auctions. This one's estimated at 8 to 9 and goes for 12,800. So that does really well. Then you've got two hot rods, and I have to say, I'm not surprised these didn't sell. It's such a limited market for something like that. I mean, I don't know who wants a 1967 Austin A35 hot rod, and to be fair, the auction house weren't able to find anyone that wants one either. I find the Ford V8 Pilot a little bit more appealing, but not much, and nobody buys that either. The no reserve Rover P6 makes 1,610 quid. Looks like a cheap car, but it does say that it's very much a project. And the Land Rover FJ Cruiser, 16 to 18 on the estimate, and it doesn't quite get there, £15,000 on the FJ pickup truck, but it does seem a lot of money for something that's quite difficult to drive. 1971 Ford Cortina in brown, estimate 7 to 8, and it goes for 7,800. And then the Renault GT Turbo, great project hot hatch with 2 parts cars, so loads of stuff there, and it makes 14,950 quid. MGB Roadster coming up next, that is estimated 4.5 to 5.5, it makes 4,800. The Porsche Cayman S, estimated 8.5 to 9.5, doesn't sell. And then we've got another Land Cruiser, estimate 10 to 12, and it only goes for 9,700. Nice car that for the money, actually. Then you've got another Mercedes-Benz SL going for pretty much bang on its estimate. 8 to 9 was estimated, it goes for 8,300. The Maserati does very well though. Maserati Carif, stunning piece of Italian art, estimate 15 to 17, and it makes 19,200. So that does pretty well for a 1989 Maserati. The no reserve Escort 1.6 makes £2,300. I quite like that. It's a pre-XR3 convertible Escort. Yeah, I am a bit of a fan of that one. I like the 4-hole alloy wheels. They're just kind of iconic. 1976 DRK 3-wheeler. Never heard of it, and nor is anyone in the auction, so it doesn't sell. MGB, estimate 5 to 6, makes 5,200. And then you've got this lovely Mercedes-Benz 350 SL, complete with hardtop. It's a great colour, and these early 350s are quite rare. The 107 shape SL was launched in 1971, so this is a very early one, being in 1972, so it's going to be one of the oldest R107 SLs in the country, and against an estimate of 6.5 to 7.5, it goes for 8. Then you've got a Mini Clubman, estimate 6 to 7, and it only goes for 5,700. It's a modified fast road hill climb car, so maybe that's not for everybody. Another Mini project here does 2.5, and then a Mercedes SL, yet another one, estimate 5 to 6, goes for 6,670. And then here's a bit of a Geoff car, Alfa Romeo 156 3.2 GTA, estimate 6 to 8, but it doesn't find a buyer. The Escort RS Turbo, tuned to 205 horsepower. I'm sorry, but the max power days are over. People don't want modified cars like that. They just want the bog standard, so it doesn't sell. Estimate 8 to 10, no buyers. The Volkswagen GT Turbo, Turbo Technics, superb Mark II Golf with factory turbo conversion and genuine BBS body kit. Cool thing and a piece of history. Estimate 12 to 14. Smashes it. Sells for 17,250 quid. Then you've got this really cool 1958 Goggomobil TS300. No reserve on that one, but it makes £4,715, and I've got no idea if that's good or bad. A beach buggy here, £6,000 to £7,000. Someone has paid £7,475 to drive it once and then put it in an auction next year when they realise the weather in Britain isn't good enough for them to actually use it. And then for some reason, somebody... Oh, no, they didn't. Nobody bought a genuine BT Engineers van for £5,000 to £6,000. Would it be good if you wanted to go around, scamming old ladies, though? You could park that outside, walk up with a clipboard and do what you like. Not that I'm suggesting that. That's a terrible idea, Geoff. Shut up. Right, then you've got a Fiat X19. These are cool cars, great looking little things. 5 to 6,000 on the estimate, and it does 5.2. The Jaguar XJ against an estimate of 5 to 6 does 5.4. The 1940s MGTC project does 2,800, and then the Datsun is pretty much bang on where they estimated it. Estimate 8 to 9, and it goes for 8,395. So they do know what they're on about, these Manor Park guys, don't they? Right, moving on to the next page, we've got a 1988 Dodge Commando tractor unit restored to a high standard for shows and private collection. I'm not sure what sort of people collect commercial lorries, but they do have a real following, and that car doesn't find a buyer. Estimate was 12 to 14, no takers on that one. And the last lot is a cheap, no reserve Range Rover County 2.5 diesel, makes 2,000 quid, about right for a Range Rover diesel. So, all in all, a pretty good auction. Now, what you didn't realise while I was filming that video is I was sat here with the sun glaring down, and if you're in the UK, I apologise, I'm too hot, my phone's too hot, and now my computer's too hot, but the prices in that auction were hot as well. What would you have gone for? Let's have a quick scan through and see what my picks would have been. I like that Alpha GT V6 that didn't sell. I do like a beach buggy, but that's because I'm out here and not in Britain at the moment. I really like the Mercedes R107 SL. I like the idea that you'd be driving around in one of the oldest SLs. I really like the Land Cruiser 2.5 turbo diesel and the Maserati as well. So some really cool cars in there. I did say I like the Ford Escort Cabriolet, but mostly I'm impressed by just how consistent that was as a sale. The estimates generally were very good and very well done, and yeah, I think it's a great sale. I think it does go to show that things are good in the classic car world, but on the lower end of the market there isn't any massive money cars in that sale, which is why I'm so interested to see what the auction's going to do when we have this ironic car auction at Race Retro, which is coming up in just a couple of days' time. In fact, 3 days' time. I'm looking forward to this one because I can't wait to see what cars are going to sell for. That'll be a really interesting one to see. Right, that is the end of the video. My kids are shining a laser pen at my face. That means it's time for us to go down to, not in my eye, to the swimming pool. Thank you very much for watching.